Hello YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. This is the America First Pill channel. So I want to discuss a little bit about Joe Kent. He's the counterterrorism intelligence director dealing with countering terrorism as his title position. And he resigned. He was definitely resigned because he was of being one that was not thrilled about Trump's decision to bomb Iran. And so Tucker Carlson had him on, and so Tucker must have known this was coming if he had an interview this fast. And so a lot of people are upset in the conservative, calling him, trying to undermine Trump. They're calling him a traitor, an Ayatollah. See, that labeling needs to stop, people. That has to stop. It's breaking the GOP. It's breaking our image. And all we're doing is we're fighting amongst ourselves right now, rather than having dialogue on this issue. It's not a black and white issue. And a lot of this is coming from the online influencers, these bots that are paid to basically attack anyone. And it's a problem. And it's on both sides. You have the schizophrenic panicins that just, when Trump does something, they doom. And then you have the ones that love this war. Some of them love the war. The normies, I don't think, love this war. The normie MAGA who I don't think loves the war, but they understand why it had to be done. That Iran has been an enemy, and they have been a national security threat with the whole nuclear stuff. And that's just where, again, Joe Kent upset people. While he acknowledges that they are a sponsor of terrorism, they sent proxies against the Israel and the United States. They do sponsor terrorism. They are a thorn in Israel's side because they do send the proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis and the Hamas, which, and I've heard stories about Israel might be actually funding them too, which that's a video for another time. But Iran funding Hamas, these proxies against Israel, because let's say Iran does not believe Israel should exist. They hate Israel. That's a fact. And I mean, I get it. I get why Israel wants Iran out of the way. It's a thorn in their side, and as well, it is a threat to them. So, the government, I don't think, has Israel's best interest in mind, but I do think Israelis want that regime tossed because they hate them. It makes very much sense. But I do think deep down Israel just wants Iran out of the way, is because they want to be a monopoly empire, and they can't without, as long as Iran is in this current form. That's factually correct. And again, I don't know how to put in people's head about Greater Israel or not, but that is something of an interest that they want, and I think that's something that they'll be able to do if Iran were to fall, which, so I don't know. So that's Israel's interest. Our interest was we don't want them to get a nuke. And that's where why I think this war is not opposed, and why people don't think we're being sucked in by Israel, is because we don't have the same goals. Israel wants full regime change. Netanyahu wants full regime change. And Trump has said he doesn't want them to get a nuke. And I think what Trump really wants is them to hand over that uranium where they're not breaking that law and they're no longer a threat to us. I think that's what Trump is trying to do. Now, Joe Kent said that in his interview with Tucker, that they don't have a nuclear weapon, that they weren't even close to getting one, and that they don't pose an imminent threat. Now, here's the thing. I do agree. I don't buy that they were that close to bombing us, because they've been kind of saying that for a while now. Even when they were really hostile to us, they never did that. But it still doesn't change the fact that they broke international law by enriching the amount of uranium that they were not supposed to have. So they were illegally enriching uranium, which goes into international law. So that was a security threat. They said it's for power, but Trump was not buying that. They clearly were illegally doing something, and that 60% enrichment of uranium is what would be needed to be able to build nukes. And so Trump wasn't risking what their claims, and it was like it was clear that they were making a nuke in Trump's eyes, and also ballistic missiles. I think that was another big one. So they have broken international law. So we have to, we have to be fair on both sides. So while you can say they were not, that I don't think they had a nuclear weapon ready to go, they could potentially risk the fact that they could build them, not just one, but so many of them where they become overly powerful. So there was the concern of them becoming so overly powerful they could not be stopped, and that was a national security threat to us. So that's what Trump said. But I think that's what I'm annoyed by the messaging, because Trump clearly has been consistent on what the goal is, but then you have these stupid neocons. I'm sorry I had to use that term, but seriously, cannot shut up. They want to change the regime in the sense of forcing it to be a democracy. They have this idea, if we just invade the country, install the leader, all is going to be okay. It doesn't work like that. Usually countries unite together when they're being attacked, even if they hate the regime. So I don't know. I heard a lot of stuff about, a lot of people are happy that Iran, they would love for Israel and the United States to overthrow that regime. I do think that is true. But still, when you're being attacked by outside force, it does cause unity. And I guess the question is, if we were being attacked outside, let's say we had a terrible leader. Let's say Joe Biden. We thought he was a terrible leader, right? And let's say a country did not like him. They thought it was the threat to them, and they wanted to regime change him. Would that be a threat? Would that cause us to cheer for the regime change, or would that cause us to unite? Because I do think when you attack a country outside, they unite. So I think there's a lot that do. I think majority of Iran does want to be regime change. It's not Muslim, actually. It really isn't. If you think about it, Muslim is not a Persian religion originally. It became Muslim off colonization, Muslim colonialism. So, yeah. So, anyway, yes. One thing too that I'm also concerned with, and this is where I'm concerned, and I feel the CIA is what's running our government. The intelligence community. Some say it's Mossad, but I think it's CIA. In some ways, you can say they're basically the same in some ways, but since they're so close together, but I think it's the CIA. And it's a rogue organization that does what they want. And I think what you need to understand is that the Uniparty wants to jail people and get anybody who speaks who goes against the deep state. Anywhere from immigration to the war machine, whatever. Just understand, I understand why people support this conflict. It's personal, and I understand. But just understand that they are trying to purge the anti-war people out of the government, particularly the Republican Party that's controlled by the old guard. They want to purge anyone who does not support their war machine, and they will. And so Joe Kent is being accused of leaking classified information to the Iranians, and that could be possibly why he resigned, because he was being investigated. So I don't know I don't know. I'm kind of no longer believing this claim of classified documents. It's like, I mean, remember they went after Trump because he supposedly had classified materials and whatever. It just I don't know. I just leaking classified information to Iranians when this guy is actually anti-Iran. I just they're I know Tucker was in contact with the government, but everybody wants Tucker in jail now because of that. Particularly influencers want him in jail because of that. It's just the lawfare is continuing through the Uniparty, and they're trying to purge anyone who opposes this war in jail. That's kind of what their goal is, and that's to get them out of the way. And look what they did to Nixon. Nixon was framed for Spygate, which we learned, or Watergate, excuse me. Everyone believes he was so corrupt, but we learned that over the years he was framed. And I do think there's effort to frame people who don't or aren't totally aligned with this war. So for those who do support this conflict because you think it's necessary, I understand, but be really careful. Be really careful when you are seeing these people who oppose it supposedly suddenly being considered traitors of the country, because that's kind of the big message right now. They're traitors. So anyways, that's all I have for right now. If you like this video, please like. If you let me know what you think on the bottom, and if you like this channel, please hit the bell for notifications. The American Free Pill channel out.